Hello, beautiful souls. So, in this video, we are diving into cultivating deeper self-connection. So, there's 3 pieces that I really want to bring. And I want to start by saying deeper self-connection leads to us expanding and opening. And when we expand and open, we become more receptive and we're able to give greater amounts of love to ourselves and to others. But specifically speaking, we are going into or diving into how to cultivate deeper self-connection. So if you're someone that is craving a deeper connection and craving to access the parts of you that are underneath the surface, then this is what we're touching on. This is where we're going. So if you want to connect with yourself on a deeper level and start to understand yourself and peel back the layers, and there are so many layers, but if you're ready to really go there, then this is for you. The first piece that I'm going to bring is around regular self-love and pleasure practice. Getting comfortable enough to offer love to ourselves and that's really how we allow greater amounts of love in. And for a lot of us, it's easy to have walls, or a lot of us do have walls around our heart. So in order to let them come down and remove them, we have to first connect with ourselves, first love ourselves. So if you're someone who finds it really difficult to offer love to yourself, I invite you to dive deeper into why that is. Ask yourself why you don't feel comfortable to offer this to yourself. Why is there resistance? Why do you feel tension with these kinds of practices? Do you feel uncomfortable looking at yourself in the mirror? And we'll get into that in a second. So for a long time, this is what it was for me. I was disgusted by the thought of self-pleasure, truly. And I became so dependent on seeking love, attention, external validation, and all of the pleasure outside of myself. I would outsource it because I didn't yet realize or have a greater understanding that I could give that to myself first. I could give it to myself first. But everything we seek is already within us. And I know that sounds cliche, but everything that we desire, every question that we seek answers to, we already know. So the love that we desire in a lover, in a partner, in a relationship is a clear reflection of how we feel about ourselves, how we love ourselves. And I'll give an example. I have been in some pretty horrible relationships, and when I look back, I'm like, I had no idea of my self-worth. I had no idea how to love myself, and I was again outsourcing. So be really mindful of that, and maybe start to notice your external reality. How do your relationships look? What kind of love do you attract and call in? Because it is a clear reflection of yourself, and that can be really hard to face sometimes, but that is the truth. That's really how we feel about ourselves, and that's a reflection in our intimate relationships. So coming back, a regular self-pleasure practice, self-love practice is the very thing that shifted this for me. This shifted so much within myself, but it also opened me up to receive more love, more pleasure, especially in my intimate relationship. So we start to become so open and receptive, like I said at the very beginning. And we start to realize, oh my God, it was always us. It was always us that we needed to give love to, from, and to. It was always us. And by doing that, then that ripples out. That energy is magnetic, and that is the intimate relationship that we end up calling in. Because if we value ourselves enough, the people around us will value us the same and love us the same. But it starts with us. And man, did that phrase used to trigger me, because I found it so much easier to point the blame and point the finger. But here's the thing, beautiful people, here's the thing with that. Every finger that you point is directly pointing back to you. It's a harsh truth, but it is a very, very big truth. For every finger that you point and every person that you blame, it is coming straight back to you. You're pointing all the fingers back at yourself. So that's the first one, regular self-pleasure. The next one, so number 2 out of 3 is eye gazing with yourself, body gazing at yourself, and yoni gazing. So out of all 3 of those, I found personally the yoni gazing the most confronting, and I'll explain why in a second. I was very shocked that was actually what really got me the most. I did have a lot of trouble though with eye gazing at first, because I had such a deep fear of being fully seen. I would never maintain eye contact with people. I would never just sit and be able to stare into someone else's eyes. I found it incredibly uncomfortable. So with that being said, even though these practices can be incredibly confronting, or just a little bit confronting, you might not find it incredibly, you might find it actually okay. But for a lot of us, it's quite confronting. But it is incredibly expansive. So I just invite you to trust the process as you stare directly into your own eyes. If you're going to do the body gazing as well, be completely naked. And of course, with the yoni gazing as well. Become very introspective. And what I mean by this is really go within, really start to notice without judgment what comes up, what thoughts, what feelings, what sensations in your body. Do you feel open? Do you feel closed? Are you tense? Do you want to cry? Like, what is it for you that you are feeling in your body when you do these practices? Whatever arises within you, trust that that's what's there for you. That's what is being called to be met and be felt and be sat with fully. No judgment, just notice what energy is present. What do you feel? For many of us women, we have such a huge fear of being seen. We really do. It's very, very, very common. And often this means we dim our own light. We dilute certain parts of us to fit in, to make other people feel comfortable, to please others, to make sure that they like us. We just want to be liked. We just want to be loved. So we change ourselves, which creates this inauthentic expression, when what we are wanting to be by connecting with ourselves so deeply is finding our authentic expression, having that self-acceptance and that self-love is what allows us to be expressive as our most authentic self, because we no longer judge ourselves, so we don't care if other people judge us. It's just like a water that runs off your shoulder, truly. So, where I'm just checking my notes. Yes. So here's the thing with all of that though. We didn't come here to play small. But by radically accepting and loving ourselves and seeing ourselves fully, this is where we begin to understand our worth. This really is the key to deeper connection, deeper self-connection, is through self-acceptance, so that we are able to understand our worth and value that. Because if we don't value that, that's when we attract certain people that see that as a quote-unquote weakness, and people may trample our boundaries, which then creates distrust, which then creates our walls to go up around our heart, and that is where they stay. And then we have trust issues because we've been hurt so many times. We start to lose our self-confidence, we don't really have much self-esteem, and so on and so forth. You can see where that leads. And chances are, if you are here right now, that's what you are feeling. So it's all about learning about who you are, accepting all of those parts and pieces of you, radically accepting, understanding your worth, cultivating a deeper self-connection, loving yourself so intentionally and so deeply that you move towards this higher self, this most authentic self, no longer playing the role to make other people feel comfortable. You are truly who you came here to be. That's what we're going. That's where we're moving towards. We are moving to the place, to the person, to the people that we came here to be. And we cannot possibly be those women without first offering self-love, having self-acceptance, knowing that we're worthy, truly believing it, having the confidence to be fully expressed as our authentic selves. Who is feeling this? Yeah. Who is feeling this? Yes. Okay. So, final one that I wanted to touch on is quality alone time. I'm going to say that again. Quality alone time. So, spending time alone on the surface sounds nice, right? So maybe for some of us, but in actual fact, a lot of people struggle to just be in their own presence. How do I know this? Because this used to be, and still sometimes is, something that I personally struggle with, and that I avoid it. I avoid alone time, quality alone time. And I would avoid it at all costs, because I would make sure I always had something to do, because God forbid I had to sit with my own feelings or, my own thoughts for too long and be in my own presence, because a lot of the time it was so uncomfortable. It is still so uncomfortable. But it's the fear of facing or being confronted with ourselves, which many of us, we've spent a good chunk of our lives running from that very thing, running from ourselves, hiding from ourselves, not wanting to face the pain, the discomfort, all of those icky things that we're just like, no way, that's too painful, that's too hard, I don't want to feel it. Press it down. We'll get to it later when we get to it. No more of that. No more of that. Trust me, when you get to a point where you enjoy being in your own presence and your own energy, and I mean really being, that's when you know you have found a sense of inner peace. And this means just being by yourself, no phone, no distractions, no mumming if you're a mum, a self-date to allow yourself to connect with yourself. And again, coming back to the self-pleasure practice, that could be you personally on your own, carving out an hour to just be in your own body, be in your own presence. It could be reading a book. It could be being in nature. You could take yourself on a little date and go and get your favorite food or a coffee, but you are with yourself. No phone, just with your own mind, your own body, your own heart, your own soul, in your own presence. Not escaping, not running, not hiding from the feeling. That shadow is always going to be chasing you and being like, hey, are you ready to feel this now? Suppress. Hey, what about now? And it just grows bigger and bigger and bigger until we just fucking erupt. So it's better to feel it when it's there. It's better to take the time to come back to our center, to be with ourselves, to ground, to unlearn, to relearn. It's so vital that we fill our cup, because everyone knows you cannot pour from an empty cup. And if you even try, you are 110% going to burn out. And then it's even harder to come back because you've got to pull yourself out of an even deeper hole than you were already in before. Yeah? You cannot pour from an empty cup. We must fill our cup so that we can give to others, so that we can really allow ourselves then to open and receive. So I invite you to feel into each of these insights and just watch, just notice and watch and become aware and become mindful of just how quickly life shifts for you. And trust me when I say this is incredibly expansive. And I haven't gone too deep into how-tos, but these are the types of things that I cover in my mastermind, in my immersions, in my 6-month expansive program. And we really dive deep into how do we go about a regular self-pleasure practice? How is that done? What does that look like? Same with the eye gazing and the body gazing and the yoni gazing. How do we do that? What does that look like? A lot of it is guided as well. I guide you through the process. The quality alone time is totally all you. It's all you. But if you're wanting to explore this on a deeper level in the way of learning how to do these things and how to connect with these practices and to experience them for yourself, all the information is going to be below. So I will leave that in the description below. And don't be shy. Feel free to reach out if you feel called to. But these are all things that are going to assist you and guide you through the process of gaining and accessing deeper self-connection. Thank you for being here. big, big love.